Come on, let's watch a movie, get drunk and shoot the shit. Hopefully we can see that actress show her tits. And if they win an Oscar, we will talk about it too. When we get movie buzzed with you. Trivia and silly talk, what more could you really want? Movie time and getting drunk, man, we'll have a lot of fun. Citizen Kane to Purple Rain and shit that Michael Bay has made too. We will talk about it when we get movie buzzed with you. Inebriating, movie rating, and we've got a guest. Movie Buzzed is the best. Podcast starts now.
It does. Hello.
Hello.
I was saying hello to everyone else, but hi to Will too. Welcome.
Hey, how do you know I wasn't saying hello to everyone else?
I don't know that.
See?
Well,
It's not all about you.
It's the best way to start a show. Welcome to the Movie Buzz podcast. I am your host, Zach. Alongside me is my co-host, Will Hedrick, and our friend, Josh Cummins.
He's here for spiritual support.
Yeah. Don't yell, okay? You have to be super quiet the whole time. You
Quiet.
are not here for friends. Okay. So, what do we have on tap today here, sir?
Shoot 'em up.
Shoot 'em up, as they call it in Spain.
It's an action film with no explosions.
You really do not like the fact that it has no explosions in it. You're
action.
really against it.
Action films, like...
It's called shoot 'em up, though. It's not called blow 'em up.
Well, I mean, you can still shoot something and blow it up, though. Okay?
I know how you'd be a big fan of a movie called Blow 'em
Oh.
Up. See that dramatic pause for hilarious
Blow 'em
effect.
up. Maybe that was what the sequel was going to be.
Not that there's anything wrong with blowing dudes. If you're a dude, I mean, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not my mouth of cock.
The rule
As the saying goes.
The rule to the sequel, Blow 'em Up, is no bullets.
Nice.
Only explosions.
That would be awesome. I'd watch the fuck out of that movie. Blow 'em up.
Just blow shit up.
You're dead, little bitch. We already started the movie, so if you hear us yell out random stuff like, "You're dead, bitch," it's because we're quoting the movie and not just hating one another or Josh. You're dead, bitch.
He is
Pointing
dead,
at him.
though.
You're dead to us. He's dead. He didn't like our idea that we came up with before the show called Naturals.
Oh, yeah.
And then we decided on a name. I like the B&D. It's a good one because it kind of like, it will get we'll get that like clientele that's just not smart enough to check into what B&D stands for. They just think it's a new hipster like B&B that has it's bed and dinner. Oh, so
interesting.
clever. Nope, big natural dicks.
But you find that out as soon as you walk in.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the door, you get a big natural dick in your face. This is the first kill scene's pretty great. He's just eating a carrot.
He stabs two people with carrots
Yeah,
in this movie.
So first, this is like a foreshadowing of how he likes to kill people, but carrots help your eyesight, basically. So, like, I guess this myth is that archers and sharpshooters used to eat carrots because they made their eyesight more keen.
I hear it was because they wanted to get Bugs Bunny, but it was like a Screen Actors Guild thing. They were like, Bugs Bunny doesn't exist, so...
That's another thing. There's like these comparisons between Clive Owen, which is Mr. Smith, and Paul Giamatti. People compare him to Elmer Fudd, and then him to fucking...
And he'll be like,
Even-
what's up, Doc?
Yeah, at one point he even goes, "You are a wascally rabbit."
Yeah.
At
At one point he like takes a bite off a carrot and goes, "What's up, Doc?" Tried to get Bugs Bunny, couldn't do it.
They couldn't get him.
No.
So is this supposed to be like the hot bullets that are dropping on this pregnant lady's stomach? Are those supposed to be like coaxing the child out of her or something?
Just shove it back in there.
Yeah.
Stop having a baby.
The worst part is that he has this gun right by her exposed vagina, and I keep thinking it's just gonna like cauterize it or something. And then it's like, there you are. But no, he shoots the umbilical cord off. What the fuck?
Seems like there's a million ways to remove an umbilical cord.
But that's her response. And how else could you respond to that? Someone shooting off an umbilical cord coming out of you.
It's a very appropriate response.
I'm gonna run this idea by you. On one of the shows coming up, I thought it'd be an interesting study. The show's Movie Buzz, so we get buzzed. So I thought one episode, one of us could be getting a buzz solely from alcohol, and the other one could be getting a buzz solely from marijuana. And we just we just push that as far as we can, and there's no crossover. And then at the very end, one of us, the one that's been smoking, takes a shot, and the one that's been drinking, smokes like a joint to himself or something. Because I always had this feeling, if I smoke and then I drink, I'm cool. But if I'm like drinking a bunch and then I start smoking, then it's like real heavy. It's like real weird. I don't know.
I like the mixture.
It's very scientific. I thought we could get scientific on the show. We don't really have to. I don't know.
Maybe
if it's a
like
good
one
idea.
time we'd explore different buzzes. Like we're gonna be on acid.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and smoke some crystal meth and see where the show takes us.
I'm pumping the room with CO2 fumes.
Wow, dude, this show's the best one we've done so far. Yeah. Never in a movie have I ever seen someone shoot out a fucking like tool and supply company sign to make it say "fuck you." It's pretty awesome.
But that's probably happened in real life a lot of times, though.
Oh yeah, you always see that stuff.
Did that guy get shot in the asshole?
Ow.
He did. He got shot in the butt. Okay.
That's what happened. Did you see the interview? The interview?
Oh, the movie?
Yeah,
Interview?
yeah.
I thought you were talking about like an interview for the.
Did you
like,
see
one of the actors of this?
Did you see the interview, man? The interview.
for
No,
this
but-
movie?
At one point, yeah, they claim that Kim Jong-un is like a god to the North Korean people, and he doesn't pure poop, so my guy doesn't have a butthole. And so at one point, like, the shit's going off, and Kim Jong-un shoots one of his like subordinates in the butthole.
Double shot.
Yeah, right in the butthole. So if you could have any kind of crazy gunfight scenario that you would script out, do you have anything in mind? I mean, let's write the sequel now.
I thought the sequel was gonna be blow 'em up.
Just yeah, well, I mean, let's do just like a direct to DVD sequel. Shoot 'em up 2.
All right.
All shots fired or something.
I think pretty much every gun fight scene.
We
has been
definitely
done.
can't have a child involved. And I was very surprised because they always say that old adage, never work with children or animals. And he chose to work with children in this one. But this baby is, half the time he's CGI.
But
And
then there's stunt babies too, which is new. I didn't know that there were things
Yeah.
called stunt
Well,
babies.
when we get to the interview too, you'll hear that he actually had to interview like the mothers and parents of these kids because he wanted like a newborn. So instead of like interviewing, an actor or like fucking trying to like shoot a scene or something to try and get them, he was just like bizarrely interviewing pregnant
He's like,
ladies.
When you have your kid, are you gonna be able to keep that little bastard under control?
Right, I think it was twins, right? I think it's like twins I think it's twins that he ended up getting. But yeah, it's just, that'd be such like a, I don't even know. What's a good adjective? It's not like surreal. It's bizarre, but fuck, man.
Yeah.
So your unborn child will be in my movie. How do you feel about that?
I imagine that's how he does all of his interviews for movies, auditions.
Interviews the actor's parents?
Yeah. so your son Clive Owen is going to be in my movie. Are you going to be able to shut him up when I need you to?
So your son Kanye has been known to be sort of an asshole in public. We're just curious if he can manage his ego long enough to be on the movie. What do you guys think, Mr. and Mrs. West? Actually, it's Poindexter. He changed his name.
Kanye Poindexter.
Yeah, it's Kanye Poindexter. Didn't sound quite as... Didn't have that pop. Did you hear about that shit? On the Grammys, he did that again.
Yeah, again. Well, he almost did it.
Oh, well, that's the whole thing. He pretended like he was going to do it, and then he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. But then afterwards, he just fucking laid into him like on a national TV interview or something. It's like, you might as well just have done it, you fucking selfish prick.
I know, right?
That's the whole thing. Kanye was saying, like, you have to respect the integrity of an artist and blah, blah. It's like, Beck is a fucking artist, though.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Yeah.
thing,
As
Like,
if he's saying that Beck's not even an artist.
yeah, like, not worthy of the fucking Grammy. It's like, dude.
He's just some kind of stoner hippie whose music I've never personally heard.
Yeah, like, you're going to make assumptions. I'm going to make a fucking assumptions that you've never listened to Beck's newest album, so you have no idea, no base of comparison. You probably even haven't listened to, like, Beyonce's full album, so shut the fuck up.
He's probably never even listened to Beck. He was probably like, who the fuck is Beck?
Who is this Beck? He does not deserve this newcomer on the scene.
He can't drop it like it's hot. Like
That's-
Beyonce.
Like Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Beyonce. People call her fucking Bae, man. That's lazy. Bey. You.
I thought that meant
Show him Beyonce.
like boyfriend.
Yeah, it's like your
significant other.
yeah, but it's also her nickname. She's
Oh.
everyone's significant other.
All
That's
right.
how significant Beyonce is.
Give Beyonce a call.
Hello, may I speak with Miss Beyonce?
I know you're her friend because you called her Beyonce. I can't really imagine anyone hanging out with Kanye West.
Speaking of shortening nicknames, he actually referred to himself as Yeez.
Yeez.
He's like, yo,
Like
let's talk
yeast?
about the Yeez. Yo. Great, dude. Fuck off and die. And P.S. If Kanye West or his lovely wife, Kim Kardashian, would like to be a part of the Movie Buzz podcast, they, like our listeners, can contact us via Twitter at movie_buzzed. You can find us at Facebook, the Movie Buzz Podcast. It's true. Seen we'll do it.
That'd be awesome if Kanye West called up just to like bitch at you.
Like, what the Jesus?
Like,
What the Jesus are you doing?
like he's like, fuck you and Beck.
And that Beck character, who the fuck is that?
He's
That
like,
insignificant.
but I am going to start
speck.
calling her Beyonce now, though. I like that.
Who is this Beyonce you speak of?
Yeah, he doesn't even know who we're talking
Oh,
about.
you mean Beyonce?
Of course.
She was in Destiny's Child, married to Jay-Z.
I just can't picture anyone hanging
Beyonce.
out with Kanye West.
Yeah, just
He's
chilling
got
with
to
him.
be like a lonely person.
Like, even the most uptight people, I could see them, like, maybe smoking weed or, having a beer, hanging out. Even if he was like that, you wouldn't want to hang out long. You wouldn't stick around long enough for him to, like, prove you wrong. Well, the thing people misunderstand about me is, oh, look at the time, Yeez. when he would be like, my friends call me Yeezus, you can call me Yeez. I'm like, you can call me out the fucking door, buddy. I'm out of here.
Fuck this.
I try.
You're not even going to ask for an autograph?
It's very true. Yeah, that'd be worth
A
something.
selfie or something?
Can you autograph your wife's butt and then let me take a selfie with said butt?
You're not even asking him for an autograph.
No.
You're like,
Will, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a question here. This
okay.
It's like a fetish thing, apparently. Monica Bellucci she's portraying some kind of hooker who lactates. Men like to wear
Yeah.
diapers and drink her breast milk from the source.
Yeah.
But who the fuck is this Monica Bellucci? Bellucci? It's Bellucci. But
Is that
who
who it
is this? Like,
I don't know.
who is this lady? Apparently, I was reading these comments that the director did some interview, and some guy was like, my 14-year-old self thanks you for Monica Bellucci's tits in this movie, blah, blah, blah. Who is this lady, man? I don't
Wait, you
know.
didn't look her up?
No,
No.
but that leads me to the question, who is your Monica Bellucci? Like, when you were a 14-year-old kid, who were you really into growing up?
Monica Bellucci.
Damn it. I don't know who the fuck she is, but I was way into
Yeah,
her.
for real. I mean, look at her. Jesus.
She is, she's probably what, like, I don't even want to guess. That's so wrong to guess people's age. Well, especially ladies. They don't tend to like that. Hell, I don't even like when people guess my age.
Maybe
Like, fuck you.
maybe you'll make her mad and she'll call up. And she'll be, I'm 42, you son of a bitch.
I'm 42 and I've been in every major blockbuster film this decade, and you don't know Monica Bellucci. That was. She sounds really intimidating. Awful, I think.
I forget. Does he grab her dead
Yeah, he
boob?
grabs her dead
Yeah.
tit. It's Paul Giamatti, but I guess during this time he was also part of that movie Cinderella Man. It's Russell Crowe. He's
Yeah,
like a boxer or
uh-huh.
something. He had to go to a red carpet for like this, big like Oscar buzz type movie, like this guy, because he was filming this movie, and I guess his goatee's like kind of trimmed more on one side than the other and shit. And, like,
Yeah.
he just looks gross. He looks like a piggly piece of shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He makes a good bad guy though.
hmm.
I like it because he's like creepy,
Breast milk.
a little bit scary.
He's a fucking detective. He's like an ace detective.
Yeah.
He touched her naked, dead breast. Then he tasted his fingers, I guess, to taste the dead breast. Found breast milk and was like, it must be a baby. Knew it. Problem solved. So now he's looking for a fucking...
See,
And then he does-
knows what he's doing.
The best part is he does like the Tommy Lee Jones from Fugitive. He's like, I want you to check every whore house, fuck house,
Yeah.
hen house, and hospital in the nearest 10-block radius. All the lactating wet nurses or something. It's like, what the fuck town do you live in, dude?
She's apparently like listed too as a lactating prostitute.
She's going to be in the new Bond movie Spectre, which is cool. But that hasn't happened yet, so I wouldn't know Monica Bellucci from the future.
Oh,
She hate me. That's the name of a movie. I wasn't just a she hate me.
It's like it sounds personal, man.
She hate me. Ostinato Destino.
Sounds like some foreign stuff.
Tomitici Colpogobo Milano.
Is that the name of a movie, or are you just saying like random
Brigante
shit
Amore
now?
Liberta. Yeah, there's Italians listening, and they are no longer listening to the show. They're like, that is the most offensive Italian accent I've ever heard. So you never answered the question like 20 minutes ago. Who were some of the female leading ladies that brought you into your sexual pantheon?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. What's that lady from Kill Bill? What's her name?
Uma Thurman?
Yeah, Uma Thurman. She's pretty hot.
She is Quentin Tarantino's muse, so she's good enough for the world.
Yeah.
Pam Anderson, she was like real big but better than Jenny McCarthy was like, it was when she did Singled Out. You know, it was before she was like, whatever she is now, anti-vaxxer lady.
I remember that back in the days on MTV.
Yeah.
Singled Out.
Jenny McCarthy was hot to trot in my book, in my 14-year-old mind.
What happened to Jenny McCarthy?
She's on The View now, and she doesn't believe in vaccinating her children.
I thought she just died in her
wait, no,
bitterness.
not The View. The Talk. She was on. No, she's not on TV anymore, but she was, and she doesn't believe in vaccinating her kids. She married one of the least the least popular Wahlberg, not Marky Mark, but fucking Donnie from New Kids on the Block.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, there's some show he has on like TV. It's like, welcome to the show Wahlburgers. We sell fucking hamburgers because I'm the no talented Wahlberg marrying Jenny McCarthy. We don't
if that guy
children.
can marry Jenny McCarthy, he's like an inspiration to douchebags all across
He
the
is.
planet.
I mean, fucking. So yeah, we were watching that Domino, and fucking Brian Austin Green is in that movie. He's the other celebrity that gets kidnapped, not Ian Ziering.
Yeah.
But he's married to fucking Megan Fox.
Yeah.
You know? He's like pushing 40.
Yeah, but he was on 90210 and shit.
In the early 90s.
Well, that's just like...
Does that carry like water?
she was raised her whole life with her mom being like, you need to fuck this man. And then she
It's
grew
like
up and was
Domino.
like, all right, I'm going to...
You need to move to L.A. And she's like, well, you need to fuck Brian Austin Green when you have a chance.
Of course, exactly.
If she could have married fucking Mark Paul Gosselaar or Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, she would have, but she didn't meet him. She only met Brian Austin Green. And actually, he was asking her for $1 on the street, and the rest is history, as they say.
She took out her list of 10 guys to fuck in Hollywood and was like, are you Brian Austin Green?
No, she looked at the list and she's like, do you know Mark Paul Gosselaar? No? Who are you? Close enough. I do. Luckily, I brought my contingency list of 10 other people I would fuck in case I never met Robert Redford.
or anyone within 9 degrees of Robert Redford.
Robin Williams. God damn it. Brian Austin Green.
Why would Robin Williams be on the list? What the fuck?
Who's too fuck listed Robin Williams on?
I know. Nobody wants to fuck Robin Williams.
Well, I mean, not now, but, you know.
Robin Williams didn't
at some
even
point,
wanna
possibly.
fuck. I don't know. That's debatable.
I don't know. I would be more likely to fuck Robin Williams now than I would when he was alive.
Okay.
I'm into that sort of thing. Don't judge me. That's not debatable.
I mean, the likelihood of me wanting to fuck Robin Williams when he was alive was 0. So I guess I would be 10 times more likely to want to fuck him now.
I'm exponentially more
which
likely.
is also 0.
The Idiot's Guide to Math. 10 times 0. Still 0.
And also how much I want to fuck Robin
You're
Williams.
still not fucking Robin Williams or his corpse. No matter how hard you try. That shit's under lock and key. You know it.
That's like that's just so you can like tell your friends you fucked Robin Williams.
That's not comedy blasphemy. You ever seen that guy's like stand up? Like some of the shit he would say and do was just insane, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think he wouldn't mind people laughing at his death. Not at his death, but I mean, if I ever tried to get like not that I'd ever qualify for something like this, but if I ever tried to get a job at like a CBS or something like that, announcing or something, just check out episode 24 of my podcast where we talk about fucking Robin Williams' corpse.
Or you're like, put that over the CBS speakers. And shit.
Oh, just check out my demo reel here. Let me just cue it up for you.
You say fucking too. You're like, we talk about fucking Robin Williams' corpse.
A lot. Like, we spent like a good 5 minutes on the subject, and that didn't even breach like where my mind was going after that.
Also,
I was about to add Paul Walker to the list, motherfucking.
also in aisle 3, we have a sale on fuck bags,
Speaking of Paul Walker,
condoms.
I went to the movie with my mom last week, and what did we go see? Oh, American Sniper. And one of the previews is Fast 7, 8, 12, whatever, Fast and Furious 27.
Yeah. It's supposed to be the last one.
Well, Paul Walker's in it, except sometimes like his brother fills in for him because he had died at that point. So like his brother does like shots from behind or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he's like his body double basically. And the movie, my mom just goes, everything else is like, oh, this looks awesome. This looks real good. And then she doesn't say anything. That looks weird, And then that movie comes on and she's like, this is going to be incredible.
Oh my god.
She's going to have combination tear.
Lady boners.
She's just going to be crying to Paul Walker's face. But it's just so weird. Like, she's so weird at the movies. Like, her taste.
Yeah.
She got me into, she always supported going to movies and shit. And, like, she would always want to take me. Like, that's what we have in common. We're going next week to see 4 of the best Oscar picture nominees,
Yeah.
But she's just like, what is that guy's name? What is this?
Yeah.
Who is that? Like, shut up. Did you not see the popcorn and the soda dancing before telling us to silence our cell phones? It's true.
Like, you don't even know yet, and she's all like, what's going on here?
What is?
I don't know.
Who is this? I'm watching the same thing you are.
Yeah.
We're
He just
watching-
walked in.
There was a preview for this new movie called Chappie that's coming out that I want to see really badly.
Yeah, that
About
looks
the
good.
robot, yeah. And I was like, this movie looks awesome. And she's like, what is it called? And I was like, Chappie. What? What is the name of this movie? I was like, you'll see, Mom.
It's
She-
at the end in
she-
big letters.
And then she just looked like a punished, like, 6-year-old kid. She just got quiet. And I was like, Mom, no, it's called Chappie. I love you. I love you, damn it. Thank you for going to the movie with me. It was a good movie, though.
What's a chappie?
What does Chappie do?
Is that
Mommy's a robot he's like a robot that they've developed, but it's like kind of set in like this dystopian future, so it's really complicated.
What's a dystopian future?
Well, it's like this idea that in the future things will like fail, we're not going towards prosperity, but more of like, we're reverting towards like a Mad Max sort of dystopian future.
I like how you wore that shirt. Did your grandma give you that shirt?
Mom, Grandma's been dead for like 5 years. Are you getting dementia? You remember God damn it.
I love the Fast and the
And then you sing,
Furious.
Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
Hold on a second.
Your brother's calling.
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm at the movies with your brother. Your mom's like an old Jewish lady.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Say hello. Zachary, say hello to your brother.
What's the name of the movie that we're watching? Is it Chappie?
Yeah, some movie called Chappie. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it's not out yet. We're American Psycho. American Sniper. Oh, my God. Isn't Bradley Cooper so good in this movie? He, like, gained weight, and he's, like, serious.
That has got to be the greatest when you need to like
He is a good man.
get fat for a role. It's like
They said there's some movie that, like, it's like reporting Tom Cruise wants to get up to, like, 300 pounds or some shit. I was like, holy God, man. He's going for it.
yeah, really.
I love the dynamic, though, because, like, honestly, I always wanted the show, like, where the initial idea of the show was getting together and get fucked up. And then the second, like, maybe a month or two after that started happening was, like, be a great, the funniest part about it is, like, the progression of it. Like,
yeah.
it's all smooth and all of a sudden it's, like, garble, 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 sort of.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I was getting in this, like, thing where, like, I would just kind of stay sober and everyone would get, like, drunk or get hammered or whatever. But the Waking Life one, dude, it was, like, you were paced
Yeah,
perfectly. It was awesome.
I got real drunk.
You were, like, completely sober, and then, like, at the very end, we were both, like, just kind of, like, drunk, babbling at each other. It's like, this is fucking... like, it's not, like, we didn't slur like that, but it was just, like, I can definitely hear myself. I
Being
can definitely
drunk,
hear when
yeah.
certain things take over. Like, when I listen to this later, I'm editing it, I'm going to hear it and be like, oh, yeah. God, he sounds so fucking stoned right now. Just talking about like the most inane bullshit ever. Like
Your mom at the movies.
my mom at the movies, like it's fucking Seinfeld of podcasts.
You gotta get your mom to listen to that part.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
dude. I remember one time in like 6th grade, I wrote like my buddy and I wrote these note. We wrote some note back and forth, and it had all the word. You know, it had like cunt was in there, like fuck, shit, whatever. If you can think of anything worse
All
than
the
cunt,
curse words.
yeah, exactly. So we got caught passing it by our teachers, and my mom, they had to tell her parents, blah blah blah, and she was like, "There were words in there I had never even heard of before."
It's a real eye opener.
Yeah, like my son, my
Changed my life.
my 13-year-old son knows like chode maybe, like maybe the word
douchebag
chode
or
was in there.
something.
She's like, "What is that? That has to be awful."
Ass master or something.
Mom, it's-
Because you're like a kid, so there's probably some stupid shit
Okay,
in there
Mom.
too.
You know how there's this, okay, there's between, I assume you have a vagina, I can't confirm that, but between that and your butthole, there's like this little patch of skin, that's called a chode. It's nothing, it's not very controversial, Mom. Like, it's not as bad as like
Is that the conversation you're having?
vaginal blood fart or something.
I assume you have a vagina because I came out of it.
Yeah.
So
You keep telling me you're my mother, and I've heard from sources that that's where children come from, so presumably you...
You're being really quiet, Mom. Am I a butthole baby? Because that's a question.
1
that
in
an
10,
8-year-old
Mom.
would ask.
1 in 10. Am I the beehole baby?
It explains later that he
Do you
grows his
really
own
have
carrots.
to pee in a girl's mouth to make babies?
And that was the conversation you had with your mom at 10 years old to learn about the birds and the bees.
This awful stream of consciousness thing, and she was like, I need to get him tested. For something. I don't even know what it is, but it's something. Dude, this scene is fucking cool as hell. You have to admit.
He's fucking her while
He's
killing a
shooting
bunch
people.
of guys.
Yes, that's so
I mean,
like.
if you can-
it's so fun.
If you can kill like
It's
10,
wee.
if you can
It's
kill like
fun,
10
dude. It's, like,
guys
bizarre
while
fun.
fucking a chick and she still comes,
And she's really enjoying it too.
she's the one. She's the one.
Yeah, she's totally not minding you killing these people. It's in fact possibly
Helping.
enhancing her
Yeah.
pleasure.
He kills 151 people in this. Well, that's another thing. Like everybody he shoots who falls down, do you count that as a
You
kill?
count that as a
you
death?
know? Or is it only people who get like headshots?
Couldn't tell you. You know who could? Director Michael Davis. So let's cut to him, and that'll cut this, and then we'll be back.
See you then.
Yeah, see ya then. Wait, that was a weird end
Well,
because
I won't see you, but
you were good. Yeah, yours was good. I was trying to think of something. We can continue our conversation about fucking Robin Williams or something.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I will always be talking about fucking Robin Williams
Okay, so yeah,
forever.
we'll bring on director Michael Davis, who will be brought to you on the Procreate guest line. You want to know about Procreate, Will? You have that curious look in your eye.
What is Procreate? What is that?
Procreate, you ask?
Yeah, totally unprovoked or.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you were curious.
Yeah,
You're just like
I've
a
never
little
heard.
cat.
I've never heard of that. Like usually at this point,
You should have probably actually
I'm
heard
totally
of it.
zoned out.
Oh.
And like
You should have just checked it out independently.
I forget
It is
everything about my life every day.
correct. Well,
So this is new to me.
the central idea of it is that it's this website. It's like a hub,
All right,
central
I'm
hub.
following you. It's a website. I
The
got
website is a hub.
that. Yeah. So the website part,
You're getting that.
yeah.
Okay, so
is
yeah.
also a hub.
Don't hack it, but go to it. It's teamprocreate.com. And basically, you find us there. We have another podcast. They have another podcast on there, Pod on Pod. They review other podcasts.
We need to make a podcast that reviews podcasts
That review podcasts.
podcasts.
Yes, we're coming after you, Pod on Pod.
It'd be
But then also,
the inception of
like,
podcasts.
We're this own like little separate tab, the Procast. But then there's also places you can go to like check out other people's work that's actually like been produced and stuff, actual films and things. But then there's movie reviews, music reviews. But then there's also jobs. Say, will you go out making a film? You need
Yeah.
a DP, director of photography.
Okay, I thought it was
Not the
double
penetration, no.
penetrator.
No, you need a director of photography. You're like, hey,
They could
man, procreate you this website, man.
They could probably find you a double penetrator too,
right. They could
Yeah.
probably find that for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that specifically, but director of photography,
Yeah,
you're more
really.
than likely to find.
You're like, I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Right. So head on over to teamprocreate.com. Check out the show. Check out people's work.
Or
Fuck
just
it.
hire people whose jobs are just like, acronyms,
Correct. Like B.O.B.
DP.
Go to teamprocreate.com. Check out the show. Check out what other people have to offer and help them out if you can, because it would be much appreciated. And now we welcome Michael Davis.
Well, I have my friend Josh. I actually introduced him to your movie the other week, and I get the same. I've done it quite a few times, and I get the same reaction every time. And people just like they lose their shit over this movie. Like they think it's hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
Like everyone's laughing, and like they think it's just like it's just a badass
That's
movie.
what you
Like,
want. That's what I wanted, is just having a great time going, oh my God, this is fun. There are some people out there that don't like the movie because they think that, oh, well, that could never happen in real life, or it's just too much. And that's fine, but, I did warn them with the title. It's shoot 'em up. That's what it is.
Right.
It's balls out, shoot 'em up. And that's what it is. I'm not, some of these action movies that are like trying to be super real, at a certain point they lose the opportunity to use their imagination or creativity. And again, that's fine, but I was always wanting to make an American John Woo movie. You watch that and Chow Yun-fat is like shooting down 50 guys in 2 minutes or whatever, and that's not real. But hey, it's kind of a great cinematic barrage of images, and that's what's fun.
I think it also lends itself to being able to, like those other movies, try and make these serious points sometimes. And I think that when, like in the scene where he's talking about gun control, or where that driver, rich driver is cutting people off, like it's kind of like a break from all the insanity for a minute, and you actually kind of pay more attention to what he's saying.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting. Yeah, I think maybe that it is right. There is a philosophy that I heard about, like movie comedies, that you should checkerboard the story, where you have the drama character scene, and then you have the funny scene, and then you have the drama character scene, and then the comedy scene, because by contrast, each is funnier or more dramatic because of what preceded it.
If you don't mind, I'd like to get kind of into the movie itself, like the concept. What was, your basic idea? I know it had something to do with, all these gunfight scenes, but I was kind of curious how the evolution of the movie came about from the initial concept to actually getting, funding and getting...
Yeah, first off, it's so funny when the movie was announced, there were people saying, well, how did that romantic comedy guy who did 8 days a week and 100 girls get to do an action movie? When it really should have been, how did this guy who grew up loving action movies start doing these romantic comedies? When I was a kid, I loved James Bond. In high school, I ended up getting a part in the school play, and my audition piece was the monologue Goldfinger gave about Operation Grand Slam, and so it literally was an obsession. The thing is, I went to USC Film School, and they kind of hammered into you about how, film is about how you enlighten the human condition and all this. And so I don't want to say I lost my way, but I should have been truer to myself and started from the beginning, being into, action stuff. And so the beginning of Shoot 'em Up is I had this idea of a guy in a gunfight delivering a baby. And I thought it was a great idea, but I didn't know how to plot the rest of it. And I didn't want it to be a one-off that he saves the baby and whatever, and then gives up the baby and then just moves on. It seemed as if, to be fair to it, and again, I was inspired by the John Woo movie, and the sequence in the hospital is so great. But I always looked at it and go, well, that's such an ironic, interesting idea. Gunman, chow gun fat with a baby. That's a whole movie. And so I felt like the delivery of the baby scene, I couldn't, chicken out and just use it as a one-off. And so it was stuck in my head for 3 years. And then finally I said, I'm just going to take a week and I'm just going to write it. And if it's terrible, so what? And I listed all the ideas that I was interested in doing as these creative gunfights. And again, people go, well, you shouldn't really write a script, based on the set pieces. It should really grow about the character and the character's logic. And, maybe they're right. But in terms of creating something fun, I started with that premise. And then I literally wrote the script in a week. And I had been making these low-budget straight-to-video movies for a foreign sales company called Dream Entertainment. And one of their deals with me, they wanted a clause put in that they got a first look at something new that I was writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, these guys were too small to be able to make a big action movie. But, hey, I'll show them the script. I'll fulfill my obligation. Well, they read the script, and they flipped out, and they loved it, and they optioned it. And so I said, okay, well, maybe I'll let them give it a try. I ended up doing the first hand-animated previews or previs,
Mm-hmm.
and they took it to, I think, the Berlin Film Festival. They had a market there. And everybody flipped out about the animation, and they actually wrote about it in a lot of the trade magazines. And they had gotten like 4 million in pre-sales, and 3 million of that was from a sale to Japan, which is hard to do pre-sales with Japan because they have so few theaters there and all that. And they were just wowed by it. So then they tried to raise the rest of the money. Could I do it for 10 million? Well, yeah, maybe. So how about 15? And then they thought, oh, we need to get an actor because all these foreign sales, they wouldn't just do it with anybody. And the problem was they just didn't have the connections with the big agencies.
Mm-hmm.
They made I know it's crazy, they made a $15 million offer to John Travolta, right? With a partner that had actually made movies with William Morris, and they trusted this guy that when he made an offer, it was a real offer.
Mm-hmm.
We never heard back, right?
Lame.
We made an offer to Wesley Snipes. I think they were still at he was with William Morris. Never heard back. And so they tried to put it together for 2 years, and funny enough, they submitted it to the acquisitions department of New Line, and it got this amazing coverage. But again, because the movie had come in through acquisitions, and acquisitions usually just acquires finished movies,
Mm-hmm.
it never went anywhere. But of course, years later, it went through the normal development creative area of New Line, and we got great coverage, and we ended up making it with them. So ultimately, I parted ways with Dream Entertainment, and I sent the script to my friend Don Murphy. And Don and I were not close at film school, but he would call me once a year to check in, and he was having, growing his great career. And so I sent him Shoot 'Em Up. And a couple of months later, I met with him. And actually, it was his partner, Rick Benatar, who said, Don, did you ever look at the animation Michael sent? Oh, no, I just liked the script. And then Rick showed him the animation. He goes, oh, my God, this is a great tool. And so that was the start of it. And Don says, look, I'll try to submit this and try to set it up. Let's just do a handshake deal, which we did. And so then the next step was, would they let me direct? And so we had this meeting at New Line, and Don says, look, they love the script. They need something like this. This is, what they've been looking for. This meeting is about, whether they would let you direct. So we took a meeting, and the younger executive was this guy, Jeff Katz, who was amazing because he'd seen all my other movies, right?
Nice.
And then we showed the animation, and they flipped out. They had never seen anything like this, and it really showed a vision. And Don had said, who knew that the meeting was going to go so well? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the senior executive passed on it, because the president of the studio, or head of production, Toby Emmerich, was having a baby in a few months, and she didn't want to bring a baby in danger script to him during that time, or that's what the person said. Most producers say, look, I don't want to piss them off. They said, no, I don't want to, I'll just bring them something new next time. But Don doesn't take a no, and he talked to Jeff Katz and says, hey, is there another executive that we could go around your senior person and set this up? And Jeff said, yeah, why don't we give it to Cale Boyder? And so we did the same thing. We had Cale read the script, get the coverage, talk it up, had the meeting about me directing, showed him the animation. He really liked it, but there was never any yes or no. And New Line had put all their resources and all their movies into the first Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, there was no need to develop new projects or acquire new scripts because they weren't going to make anything for a while. But at the end, when they're about to release the last one, they had nothing in development. And so Don had another project with Cale. He was on the phone with Cale. And Cale says, well, it's good that we got this one thing with you because we have nothing. And then Don says, well, you also have another project. You have that Shoot 'em Up. And Cale goes, oh, yeah, you're right. And
Nice.
so then it was because he was reminded they never optioned it. He'd kind of forgotten about it. But Don nudged him. And so then Cale submitted it to Toby Emmerich. And then there was this sort of excitement because he had seen the animation, and then Bob Shea saw the animation,
That's
and
cool.
then they optioned it, and then they needed something in production to look like a viable studio, and so they were going to greenlight it. And then that's the thing is you're kind of like a success overnight after 15 years.
Yeah.
Because these agents, and I get it now, is they really want to focus on, is this movie really a go? Should I push to have my client in this? And there are very, very few go projects. So it's a feeding frenzy. And so it became very easy to cast the movie because, hey, there was a paycheck for their client. I had always loved Clive Owen. I loved him in the BMW short. I didn't know whether or not the studio, New Line, was going to go for it. But their studio was heavily driven again by foreign, so there was no arm wrestle about who do we cast as the lead. New Line wanted Clive Owen, and Clive's agency said, well, this really wasn't for him, but we sent the script and the animation, and he was really into it. And I think the great thing about Clive is that he wants to do stuff that's distinctive. I think the stuff that was offbeat and quirky was the stuff that he liked the best,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just being, a straight shooter. And so that's sort of how the whole thing, came together. That's a little bit of the creative story, a little bit of the politics story. And when I first wrote the script, I literally finished it like the week or the month that Columbine High happened.
Oh, geez.
And so my manager at the time said, well, I can't do anything with this because they're never going to make a movie like this. So I set it up with New Line 7 years after I had written the script.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just keep pushing and keep believing and keep submitting or finding the right people. The movie wouldn't have been made if Don Murphy hadn't pushed it.
So after the movie was made, then comes a time where they do marketing and everything. And there was this, from what I read, there were billboards up in the U.S. for the movie, and they got taken down or altered because it showed the characters with weapons.
I was told that the MPAA said you cannot have movie posters where a person is aiming a gun right at you.
Oh, okay,
Right.
I gotcha.
And then, at the same time, I'm seeing the upcoming G.I. Joe movie, and they have posted characters. So what happened is that they put up the posters, but they didn't put up the date. They didn't even say September or whatever. Some
Oh, that's
movies actually
shitty.
have the release date. So they kind of like, whoops, we put up posters all over the country or wherever the cities they pick, but nobody knows when the movie's coming out. So then they stuck a sticker on it of the date, right? And I remember driving
man.
by and seeing the sticker had kind of peeled, right? and it looked like the movie had been out for a year and the billboard hadn't been taken down, right? It's like you don't want your new movie to look like old news.
No, that's
right?
awful.
And so that's the movie poster facts.
So it wasn't taken down. It was
They put a
discouraged.
sticker on it to put the date.
That's
They could have
awful,
even just
man.
said coming soon.
I'm not laughing at being
Whatever,
demeaning.
you know. I mean, it's frustrating because, you know, we wanted to do pre-screening and get a lot of quotes,
Right.
and, you know, and all this stuff. And at a certain point, some people at New Line thought that the movie could be considered misogynist. And so they thought that any pre-screening would hurt the movie. Well, then I had a screening where a writer, a reviewer for Playboy came, and he just flipped out and loved it and picked it as his movie of the month. And then a few other people had seen it and loved it. And then the New Line people said, oh, you know, had we known that it was going to get such a good response, maybe we would have done some more work ahead of time to promote the movie. I mean, whatever. I mean, I have to tell you, I always thought that once you got the movie greenlit and you were filming it, that you had fought all the battles of convincing people of, you know, that your movie's worth. But I realize now that you still have to sell the movie's value to the company that's making it with you, right? Because at a certain point, let's say they have 10 movies they're promoting that year, and there's a certain amount of manpower they have.
Right.
And they put the manpower into the Chris Nolan movie, right? Because they got it, right? But then some of the other movies, they don't, because sometimes they just don't have the effort, the energy, or the manpower. And at the same time, everybody, whatever they do, they want to believe in their job, right? They do a better job when they believe in the product.
Absolutely.
And I think there were some people at New Line that were afraid or didn't like the product. And that affects how hard they sell it. And at the end of the day, sometimes it affects what is budgeted. I don't know what behind the scenes, but I think that they realized later on that there were opportunities that were missed. But, you know, at the same time, there were a lot of different things. I could go on and on and on. You know, I don't think the date that we picked, was perennially the worst box office weekend of the year. It was the first weekend of the NFL. It was the second weekend most kids are going back to college. There's obviously the perception, hey, you know, this is these are the movies that weren't good enough to be in the summer promotion, right? The summer derby, all those kinds of perceptions. And, you know, if I were to do it differently, I would have asked or tried to push. I didn't have any control over it for a different release date. The other thing that happened, and again, you know, maybe it wouldn't have made any difference. New Line was struggling financially. You know that I think after that year, they became less of their own entity and sort of was, you know, pulled back as a small division of Warner Brothers. They also were about to release the Golden Compass, which they wanted to be their next Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And the movie's fine, but it's not a Lord of the Rings. But they spent so much money, they needed. If all their smaller movies failed, the board of directors would say, well, you know, it didn't work. But if this big, you know, behemoth didn't work, they'd go, why did you greenlight this $200 million movie and spend $150 marketing it, right? Why'd you do that? And so there were like 3 or 4 films that were coming out in the fall from New Line, from Mr. Woodcock to Bob Shea directed the movie, that they took the marketing, money from their marketing budget and put them into the Golden Compass. A normal movie at that time, I think, to get sort of recognition that got on people's radar was like $25 million. I was heard, and it may not be true, that they took $10 million from my budget and $10 million from these others to go to the Golden Compass. But the day the movie opened, the normal recognition of a possible moviegoer, the people that go to the movies every weekend, normally after marketing, there should be a 75% awareness at minimum that the movie's out there. Doesn't mean that they want to go,
but they
just
it's
need to know that it's a choice, right? When my movie came out, it was like at 45 to 49% awareness, and so it was much lower than what there should have been. I had people tell me, "Oh my God, I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for that movie to come out. I was ready to go, and then I didn't know it was in the theaters, and then it was gone."
Yeah.
Well, what is that? If somebody's looking for the movie and they don't find it, right? There is an issue of awareness that was a marketing issue. But again, at the end of the day, you know, the movie's got to stand on its own. You think that, you know, the word of mouth or whatever, it's probably not just the marketing, probably a lot of different things. I remember before the movie coming out, I was in the summer and I was in a Blockbuster. Then there was a 25-year-old guy who was working the register, and I ended up telling him I had, you know, a movie coming out. And he goes, "What's the movie?" And I said, "Oh, it's called Shoot 'Em Up." And he goes, "Oh, I haven't heard of it." And I go, "It stars Clive Owen." And he goes, "Clive who?" Right?
Oh, yeah.
And then and I go, "Oh, it's kind of like an American John Woo movie." Who's John Woo? So it's a 25-year-old guy, smack dab in the sweet spot, working at a Blockbuster, and he didn't know who John Woo was, didn't know who Clive Owen was. And that's when I knew, well, you know what, I'm kind of in trouble, you know? Right? I mean, and at the end of the day, that's just the breaks, you know, because I'm over being my super disappointment at the performance of the movie. And if somebody can learn a little bit from my experience.
It seems like you are at least happy in the fact that you got to make the movie you wanted to make pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, some people go, "I can't believe they let you make that movie."
Right. Well, kind of speaking along those lines, that what might contribute to that sort of mentality. I was reading that there was a lot of fake blood used on the set. And is there like some way you could put a number, perspective, or like a comparison on the
amount?
Well,
you know, it's so funny. I didn't really think about it that much during the making of the movie. I do think that there is a YouTube video where the person counted the kills. And my only disappointment was if I had like done 2 or 3 more, I would have broken 100. And I thought I had already done that, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, on IMDb it says the official body count's 151. So.
I guess maybe so, but I think the person on YouTube actually did like jump cuts of all the kills.
Nice. And
they actually put like a superimposed the number on it. But hey, maybe 150, I don't know. But the thing about the blood is sometimes those packs don't blow right and it doesn't look great, and then you got to do it again.
Oh, I gotcha.
And some of the blood hits are like CGI blood hits, but I wish that the blood hits, the CGI blood hits were more stringy. There are more sprays in the movie.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
And now that I've taught myself like After Effects and Maya, I see, oh my God, they got all these great blood hits that we could have used. I do the one that looks so fuzzy.
Damn you, IMDb. See, like how could they have some stat that reportedly 15 gallons of fake blood were used, but they don't even, there's no context behind it. There's no.
There was no official count. I mean,
like active measurement of blood used.
No, I do think, though, did you see the Mythbusters piece?
No.
Mythbusters did a piece on Shoot 'Em Up as to whether a bullet could actually move the merry-go-round.
What? That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And, of course, they came up with, well, it couldn't really move it. They tested it. But then they took a merry-go-round and they really greased it up so there was friction. So that if it was
like
super greased up merry-go-round, well, then, yeah, maybe it would work.
Do you have like a preference for this over the top sort of like violence and action and sex obviously too?
Well,
Is it just fun?
I think it comes from wanting to see something I haven't seen before, right?
Okay, I'm following.
And it ultimately comes down to I just like using my brain with my imagination to come up with something that is wild and fun. To me, that's what gives me pleasure. Just staging a normal gunfight then it just becomes traffic control. So yeah, maybe it's my personality. It's maybe me wanting to do something offbeat. Maybe it's me wanting to. It just delights me. And I guess the other thing is in cinema, when you're having a gunfight and you see a guy shoot and he misses, he shoots, he misses, and he shoots, he misses, it is more accurate. But it really is that whole action-reaction thing. It's really satisfying on screen to see a guy shoot and then he hits the guy. And when you string them together and he hits 5 guys in a row, there's this visceral, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, having a character stand there and say, just stand there and give a speech like a Clint Eastwood thing and then shooting the guy or whatever, there's no cinema. It's static. And to have a character flying and shooting, it becomes all the things that when you were a boy playing guns in the backyard that was going through your head, or when you're playing, touch football and you make this catch, it seems in your head, you hear the music from like NFL films of your dramatic catch. That's what you want. And so I always am trying to set up these things like, Clive Owen's skydiving and he's having this gunfight, and then the guy's coming straight at him, and how does he get out of it? Well, he uses the other guy's parachute as sort of a shield to tangle the guy up. Well, that's kind of cool. I've never seen that. He's using the elements that are there. Yeah, it's probably unrealistic, that the chute would open that way and hit whatever. But in the moment, for entertainment value, for me, that's what I like.
It works. In this movie, it's just like over the top. It works, like, rappelling down a spiraled staircase.
Yeah. And there, he saw the guy. I set it up, but I showed the guy landing, right? I showed the rope, right? And in the background, you also saw the guys coming up the stairwell. It's not fair to the viewer if Clive Owen all of a sudden just does this. You have to see the stairwell. You have to see all the soldiers coming up the stairwell, so you know that, wow. His exit is an exit, but there's a lot of guys on it.
Like, what's he going to do?
How is he going to do it? And then you see the guy with the rope. And so when he pieces it together and does it, it's almost like in a murder mystery that you hate it when they don't give the audience all the pieces to pick the whodunit. But here I gave you all the pieces that a moment before you as the audience could be thinking like the hero. That's what I would do. And then when the hero does it, you go, oh, my God, I am the hero. And then you feel it more. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfect. Right on.
So anyway,
well, I didn't. I'll edit this if it's kind of choppy because I would understand. But I didn't ask this in the questions. I have a question. One of my friends had suggested, and I'd been thinking about. But about the music. Like, were you involved in acquiring it? Was it something you had in mind beforehand? Because you have bands like Motorhead and Nirvana and AC/DC involved. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. So I was a big Bourne movie fan, and we are having a test screening, and I put it with a lot of Jason Bourne music, and the test screening didn't go so great. And one of the reasons we felt is because the music was so dramatic, although it was action movie, that it didn't let the audience know that they could laugh with us.
Right. Okay, I got you.
And so then there was we started experimenting with it, and we started putting in some of these cues, which I actually liked. The most important thing that I wanted was the tempo of the music have a drive. I've also looked at action scenes where the music is slower than the editing, and it can drag it down. And there was some struggle. There was a during the scene we just talked about with the rappelling. Some of the New Line people had put in the shotgun baby because it's kind of funny because at the end he shoots the person with a shotgun, but the pace of it wasn't as fast, and it hurt the sort of cinema and the adrenaline rush. And so, fortunately, we were able to change it. It's much better. I like the idea of having Nirvana at the very, very beginning. It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
So does that answer your question?
No, I mean, I kind of gathered that feeling. It kind of like, I would say it kind of cut the tension a little bit, so you weren't so nervous. It was kind of just like a fuck yeah, like like you said,
That you thought that a couple places it undercut the drama. That if it wasn't so lighthearted, that it might have made the scene more effective.
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of effect you're looking for. I kind of like the effect of the kind of gung ho.
Okay, so it worked for
music. Oh yeah, very much so.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad. I mean, I think in the most cases it did. I think that there were a couple places, and I'm not saying in the action scenes, but in the rest of the piece, we could have supported it with something a little bit more traditional.
Right.
But hey, at the end of the day, I would rather have all the kick-ass action work for the experience, because that's really what I wanted to achieve. And so I'm glad my music supervisor, Brian Richards, did such a great job. He had done some of the Jason Statham movies. He was the one that really started putting together all the great rock and roll music. It definitely wasn't me. It was people like Brian and other people on the team making suggestions.
But you
But
supported.
I'm glad of the suggestions.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely added another element, I think, to the movie. Well,
I think it certainly helps in the end credits, where you go out on this ride.
I have one more question about this film, and then we can move on. What kind of extra precautions, if any, do you have to take when working with stunt babies?
Oh, it's so funny. We were very fortunate. If you were using a baby in the United States, I think you're only allowed to use it for like 45 minutes, in front of the camera, or an hour. And it only can be, on stage for 3 hours while you're waiting to set up. But in Canada, they have, a much more lenient policy, in that it's like 3 hours in front of the camera, and they can be there for 8 hours with their mom. We only use the live baby when the heroes were standing.
Yeah,
The live
that makes
baby
sense.
was never used when Clive was running. It was all either face replacements. There was a robotic baby that I wasn't
That's
so
awesome.
fond of, but it probably is in there all over the place. But, like when Clive Owen shoots the back of the drawer that clobbers the guy's head,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I think that's a face replacement, but it was a really good one, right? Because the baby was crying and it looked real. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that we used the live babies on set much less than I thought. And I think part of it is that sometimes they would just be sleeping and they weren't that interesting, and you'd want, I'm just going to do a visual effect of the baby crying, or it was crying too much that it became unwieldy. And so the stunt baby really was visual effect. There was a set of twins, and the funny thing is that we auditioned the babies, and sometimes we were dealing with mothers that were going to have the baby. We were shooting in 2 months, and they were going to deliver in almost 2 months. That we would not quite have an infant, but they would come in and they would show us baby pictures of their other kids, right? And some of the babies were like, well, that's not a very cute baby. And it was surreal auditioning the mothers, right? And we were wanting to see how comfortable they were with the material of the movie, and how into being on set. And we would tell them it's pretty boring sitting around all this time. But that was kind of surreal to have the moms come in, and I was surprised how many choices we did have.
That's
And
weird.
it was great that we ended up getting twins.
Auditioning the mother of the unborn child actor in your
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have to say, they were all great moms. They were all very enthusiastic.
That's very cool, though. Yeah, it's a bizarre aspect, I'm sure, of the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
So you wrote the screenplay for a number of movies. One in particular is Double Dragon, starring Scott Wolf.
Yes, I did that with my friend Peter Gould, who
Cool.
is the co-creator of You Better Call Saul, the Breaking Bad
Oh, that's
sequel.
awesome. Yeah.
Peter's so talented. We did that together when we were writing partners. But I do have to say that we did our best. There was a script that existed and a structure that existed. And then the people that we were working with were kind of, they were married to it, and we were just, we were instruments, some of it, instruments of, what they wanted. I think at the end of the day, the script that we wrote was too ambitious for what the money they had. And so a lot of the stuff that we wrote that might have been good ended up being cheesy. And, I love Scott Wolf, but I never believed that he was brother with Mark DeCostos. I mean, maybe if he was
Right.
half brothers with him, but they're both awesome, but they just didn't look like brothers.
Yeah, the Iron Chef and Scott Wolf from Party of Five do not look like brothers.
Right. And then it's so funny that then we were rewritten after that by this other guy who ended up creating that 70s show.
Oh my gosh.
But at the time, some of the stuff that he wrote, and he's really talented, but there was an actress in there that was on General Hospital. And one of our characters is fighting her, and they say something like, well, generally I put people in the hospital.
Yeah, nice and cheesy.
It's not a funny line. People don't know she's on General Hospital. It's twinkily written. Just do something else.
Yeah,
right?
Didn't they do like a Who's the Boss line for Alyssa Milano?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah. And the first day of filming, they nearly didn't get any shots off. It would have been the first day of filming, and they were going to get 0 shots. That just told me from the beginning that, oh, man, I don't think it was going to work. They had this idea where they wanted to do a shot where the camera was underwater, and then it would lumicrane up out of the water and then follow those people. And every time they were ready to go, the sun had moved and the shot wasn't right.
Oh, no.
And they spent, most of the day. And finally, they said, well, it'll look really bad if we came back to 0 shots on our first day of filming. And they took the camera and they shot 3 pages of dialogue where they're just walking along, right?
Nice.
But I mean, so it was just ill-conceived from the beginning.
Sir,
But
being a 9-year-old at the time of that movie, you do not have to apologize to me for anything.
Did it work for you?
Yeah, as a 9-year-old kid, hell yes. Every once in a while I still do this to this day. And for those of you who don't know, it's the 9-volt. It's a high five. It's where you open one hand flat and then you have the other hand in a fist. And the person opposite of you has your hands opposite and you fit them together like a 9-volt. I was curious if you had any part to play in that.
No,
Damn it.
no, not at all.
That is disappointing.
Somebody else came up with that. That's cool.
It's okay. It's okay. It's.
I mean, I don't know.
No,
I just think, anyway, somewhere somebody had to be the first person.
Well,
Anyway.
I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate your time and your effort and your patience.
Oh, it's always fun.
No, yeah, just
Really.
know that you have fans out there that really appreciate what you have done and look forward to what you are going to be doing in the future.
It's been a long time. Hopefully they're still out there, but I appreciate it.
No, definitely. Like I said, when I show my friends, generally the reception is like, they're just like all into it. They think it's hilarious and fun and just entertaining. Like,
Well, one of the best stories I ever heard was my cousin-in-law. Her girlfriend said, "Hey, do you want to go get some to eat with my guy friends? You'll love meeting them. It's fun." And so Lizzie gets picked up by her friend, and these 2 guys are in their car, right? And they start using these sort of phrases and lines from my movie from 8 Days a Week, right? And Lizzie goes, is that from that movie 8 Days a Week? Oh, yeah, it's our favorite movie. We watch it once a week. We have this shrine in our apartment where we have a little VHS tape standing up there. It's the greatest. And she goes, oh, that's so funny because the writer-director is my cousin-in-law. No way! For the fact that they were, like, quoting lines, you know, like that was part of their everyday lingo as an inside joke, but that's what they did. It was from my movie. That was like blew my mind. It was so fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Cool.
Well, this was super fun. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend and your Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
It's going to be a great week.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
And once again, we want to thank director-writer Michael Davis for joining us on the Procreate guest line here on Movie Buzz. I think it's time to get back to this movie.
Boobies.
There he is.
Boobies. Booby train. That's the booby train passing by.
He definitely like has some kind of inappropriate relationship with that dog, right? His henchman.
Well,
he grabs it by the nuzzle and just starts like going at his face.
That's not his henchman. That's the boss.
Regardless, he has an inappropriate relationship with that animal for sure.
Why? Because
he grabs it by the nuzzle and is just like. They both just start doing that. The dog and. We also do some shout outs real fast. We have 2 new Twitter followers. First up, we have Kyle Gold at GoldSpecs, creative tech entrepreneur, health geek, NorCal Vineyard native, SoCal beach denizen, altruist. And he's on Instagram. His last tweet is, no such thing as spare time, no such thing as free time, no such thing as downtime. All you got is lifetime. Go.
Whoa.
Hashtag Henry Rollins.
Time doesn't even exist.
And then also, we have comedian Maz Jobrani that followed us. He's going to be on the show. I told you about this earlier today, but we're going to let everyone else know. You know him from the Axis of Evil comedy tour. He was also in Friday After Next, and he's been a part of like 50-some projects, so stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. We also will have Jamie Kennedy, and we got Eduardo Ed Sanchez of the Blair Witch Project, writer and director. He has some pretty interesting information that he shared with us about the process.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird. It was pretty insane is what it sounds like.
If you want your actors to act like they're starving, starve them.
Well, I was talking to like a friend about it, and she was like, oh man, like Blair Witch, I didn't like that movie, or like it kind of sucked or whatever, which I remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I was like, even if you don't enjoy the movie, at least like the behind the scenes stuff is just so fucking crazy that it's worth
pretty
like,
unique.
Respect. Yeah. It was on a budget of what, $20,000-$30,000, and like it made over $100 million worldwide. And I mean, the story behind it, in and of itself, is like worth the price of admission itself too.
Even the story of the marketing was pretty interesting.
It was pretty crazy, and still, like today, people still believe that fucking shit's true. My mom believes it, or well, she did. She questioned it at best, so it's good though.
This is one of the best action scenes in the movie. Is the part where he comes to the gun factory. And
it hasn't. He rigs them all up.
Yeah, he sets up all the guns on like puppet strings and shit.
Which, mind you, would take probably hours to figure out, even just like the trajectories, let alone rigging the guns up with the fucking
putting all the guns together
triggers.
And loading them all and all that
strings around the trigger, so when you pull certain ones, they unload and shit. This is one of the few scenes where the baby was actually real. You could tell there's no CGI baby there. It's about to be, but it's not.
It would suck to have a baby in a tank, though, because, like, when it shits, which babies do often, fucking the whole tank is going to reek that.
What, baby shit often? Go on.
It's true fact. It's actually scientifically proven that baby shit.
You wouldn't have any... That's the thing that always gets me, too. Like, you wouldn't understand. You're not a parent. No, I can understand. Like
baby
children
shit.
have been raised all throughout civilization, and there are hundreds of thousands of stories about that. So yes,
I myself was a child once.
yes, I can
believe it or not.
comprehend. It's not like comprehending a being that's omnipresent like God or something that apparently you can understand.
Yeah.
This is understanding a concept that is executed on a daily basis
They're
throughout
all over the place.
history of
yeah.
time.
It's like a infestation of babies. They're all over the fucking place. Greedy babies.
Greedy babies.
Like she can't just live in
To
this
hang
tank
out in this tank
for
with
2
the baby.
straight
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, they're inside this tank at this some kind of like gun show or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like one of those decorative tanks, which are usually like bolted shut. but-
Right.
yeah.
She's just chilling out in there with this baby, oxygen sealed, and like slowly running out, like hallucinating, smell of baby shit. Like she's just like slowly going nuts. He comes in.
and her own shit.
By the way, this is pretty great.
Oh, the skydive
He's having
shoot
a
scene.
gunfight
This one's too
in
much.
the sky.
This one's too much for me.
Skydiving.
It's so ridiculous.
I know, but science.
It's just like his coordination in the air.
Yeah.
And shit, and he's like,
It's the fact that it looks like he's actually done it before. I don't know, former MI6, man. They get in some hairy situations, that's for sure.
it's fucking nuts.
It's fucking yeah.
The doggy loves him
The
now.
dog loves
now it's
him.
going to eat him.
It's sad. Now he's gonna adopt this dog or something?
Yeah, why not? It's a good dog.
He's a very selfless individual.
He probably spent thousands of dollars training that dog. You can't let that go to waste.
Actually, he's not very selfless. Like he he helped the mother, but then he just pawned the kid off on some
Dude.
like prostitute. Like here you go.
yeah. He's
Watch
also
this
like
baby. Yeah,
he's also killed like 80 people.
countless people. But yeah, there's a lot of blood, a lot of squibs and stuff. Tens of thousands of dollars spent on squibs and shit. And $5 spent on Paul Giamatti's haircut.
That doesn't count the $10,000 for his cocaine.
Yeah.
Which he obviously.
That sounds
That's
like
not how bullets work.
what it needs. It would need like something to hit it.
It would just go off in some random direction. It needs to go through the barrel to go straight.
But he was aiming it with the crooks of his fingers.
Nah.
For those of you who have not seen this movie or can't see, to kill the bad guy in the end of the movie, Clive Owen takes 4 bullets and he puts them in between the cracks of his fingers and then holds them all together to hold the bullets in place and puts his hand in a fire.
Yes.
And they eventually get so hot that they shoot Paul Giamatti 4 times.
But the bullets would just shoot in random directions, though, if you did that. You need the barrel of the gun for it to go straight.
Ooh.
Like, he can't use any of his fingers.
He
Paul
can't use his fingers because
Giamatti's-
they're broken. Paul Giamatti's been shot.
4 times, yeah. 5
Oh, there it
times.
goes right through the something.
Yeah.
Chest.
Right-
I'm not
it
sure
blew
what
like
it
a-
was.
It blew like a 3-inch hole through his whole body.
Yeah.
Which he just shot him like 3 times with the same gun, and it didn't do that.
All right. Well, this one was like a dead. No. He shot him with his hand.
Oh yeah, those are the hand bullets. I
Right. So
forgot,
that was an
yeah.
actual gunshot to his
That's-
chest. So that gun's really strong.
Yeah,
See, your theory was
you're right.
bullets actually unbeknownst to you, the bullets do fly straight, but they don't cause as much damage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry.
See right there, the dog's. It's a good dog. It's
Cool.
It's
Yeah,
like you're my master now.
He's like, God damn it! Now I got a dog, a baby, and a fucking lactating hooker.
Both my hands are broken.
Oh, what a trio! The bus that he is on, doop. See where it's headed?
Yeah.
Wherever, man.
Where
it
is
says
that? What it said
wherever.
on the? Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, the bus is headed to wherever. There it is. You see it? Yeah, and then he goes to this place. It's supposed to be like this movie's version of a Dairy Queen, you know.
Yeah.
But it represents like her. It's like the lactating, like it's a boob. The Dream Queen. It's DQ like Dairy Queen, you know. It looks like a fucking
It looks like a
like a
boob.
nipple. It looks like a boob with a nipple sticking out of it. I mean, not to be elementary, but this fucking
Definitely,
scene
if
is
you looked at
elementary.
it from the air, like straight down, it would look exactly like a boob. You know.
Looks like a boob. And if you look to your left, you'll see the famous "It looks like a boob."
You can get ice cream from there.
That was your captain speaking, by the way. He didn't announce. He didn't address himself, but
Yeah.
that was your captain speaking. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
We made it.
Oh yeah.
We did it.
It was worth it.
That was it. Yeah, it only took us like 4 weeks to record one movie. It's okay. We were caught up. It's fine. We made it.
It's worth watching if you like action.
Right.
But it is like over the top ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to turn your brain off for
Yeah.
an hour and a half and watch a movie and like kind of laugh at stupid shit that it's not stupid. It's stupid not in the bad sense, but in the good way. Like stupid, like oh my god, like so ridiculous. Like
this guy has bullet. He has bullet superpowers. Okay, like he can't do. He does shit that bullets wouldn't normally do. Okay.
Right. You just want to see like extended gunfights and fucking laugh along. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
So there you are. Well, I think we should let everyone know they can find us on Twitter at movie_buzz, and the people that follow us that we've mentioned on the show, we will continue to mention people and shout them out. You can find us on Facebook at the Movie Buzz Podcast. We're always posting stuff up there. Movie Buzzed, all one word, at Instagram. I just posted a picture today of our fucking snow-covered... It's like I don't know, snowing in hell sort of thing.
We had a little snow.
We had a little snow.
Like
it was
10
like
inches.
a foot. Yeah. So you can find us on Instagram, Movie Buzzed, all one word. And you can email the show, moviebuzzed@gmail or moviebuzzed@teamprocreate.com.
I'm gonna go do that.
Cool. Well, we're going to go email ourselves, and
It's gonna be awesome.
you guys should too, and stick around for our next episode, which will feature the movie Scream, along with actor, producer, comedian Jamie Kennedy. I'm Zach.
I'm Will.
And this is the Movie Buzz Podcast.
It's time for Movie Buzz. It is time for Movie Buzz. Tell your mom, your sister, and your cousin it's time for Movie Buzz. Here comes your host, Zach, carrying a six-pack. Come on over, enjoy the fun. It's time for Movie Buzz. Yeah, come on over, enjoy the fun. It's time for Movie